Hare Krishna. So, we continue our seminar on humility, actually on surrender, and today we have the last item of surrender, and this is karpanya, humility. We discussed already 5 items of surrender. What to accept in devotional service, that we should accept what is favorable for devotional service, that we should reject everything that is not favorable for devotional service. Then Rakshisha Titi Vishwaso, that we have firm faith in Lord protection, that Lord will always give us protection. And then we discussed Goptvritre Varanam, that we are completely dependent on Lord's mercy. We believe, firmly are convinced that Lord will always maintain me. And then this morning we discussed Atmanikshepa, or complete dedication of our heart to the Lord, of ourselves completely. And now we will discuss karpanya, or humility, and how humility is one of the essential items of surrender, of sharanagati. Sharanagati has more broad meaning than just surrender. Sharanam, what is sharanam? Sorry? Remembering. Sharanam means to take shelter. Yes. Sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarvapapibhyo mokshayimashcha. Sarva dharmam parityaja. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. So, take shelter of me completely, and I will deliver you from all sinful reactions. Don't fear. Yes, so this humility is essential for a devotee. One cannot practice devotional service without humility. Therefore Lord Chaitanya says, Trinada pisunichana turoriva sahishnana amanina manadena kirtanyaksadha hari. If you want to be connected to the Lord, sada, that means always, we should be humble, more humble than the blade of grass. Yes, more humble than the blade of grass. What does it mean? How can we be more humble than a blade of grass? Do you have any idea?
How we can be more humble than blade of grass?
Yes.
We see, I heard that, if we have a list of names, then we are the last on the list of the names. We should consider everyone Vaishnava and ourselves not.
Okay.
That's Govinda Maharaj said that. Everyone is higher than me.
Yes, okay. Good definition. Any other thought on this? How can we be more humble than a blade of grass? Don't be shy. It's not a school. You will not be marked. Sorry?
To accept to be chastised.
To accept to be chastised? Okay. Okay.
You need to control the...
Okay. You have any suggestion?
What happens when you step on the blade of grass?
Yes.
It comes back up.
Yes.
So if you want to be more humble than the blade of grass, is that even when we, just dead tongue, or we are, like he said, probably we are chastised, that we don't try to
Retaliate.
retaliate to become proud afterwards. So we actually stay down.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, it's exactly what I wanted to say.
Uh-huh.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mentioned it because it's super.
Thank you. It's interesting. One important thing is, I will tell you a little story from my school life, from primary school. They took us to see some movie, some film. And there was a nice meadow, like here we can see outside. It's nice meadow. It was a sunny weather. And it was springtime. The birds were chirping, sun was shining, everything was idyllic. But then the camera lens zoomed into the grass, and there was bloody war, fight on every level of existence. One spider was attacking an ant, and there was what is called meat, or what is this insect, I don't know, that eats other insects.
I see which one.
Yeah.
The green one.
Yes, the green one. Yes.
Not religious.
Yes. I forgot the exact expression in English. It ate another living entity there. And not just these insects were fighting one against another, but also grass, one grass against another grass, was fighting for its space. Yes. And which blade of grass will prevail over other blades of grass. So, this is struggle for existence, we can say. And we should be more humble than a blade of grass. That means that we don't struggle for existence in this world. That we accept that we are not this body, that we are Krishna's servants. Yes. If we forget this, then whatever we do, even if we declare that we are devotees, we are just struggling for existence against the nature, against other people, against even devotees. We criticize, we want to be recognized. This is all different aspects of struggle of existence. So yes, we should be more humble than a blade of grass. And common quality of great devotees is to be very humble. And we can see in many examples in Krishna Lila and also in Chaitanya Lila, many examples of this utter humility. That means complete humility. And I will give some examples. For example, one is Haridas Thakur. He's very famous as Namacharya. And because the chanting of the holy names is the Yuga-dharma, and our life depends on focused chanting of the holy names. So we should take example of Haridas Thakur. How humble he was. And through his example we should also understand that humbleness doesn't mean that we compromise our principles if we are faced with the opposition. This is not humbleness. For example, Haridas Thakur, he was outcast, we can say, because he was born in a Muslim family. He was blasphemed by caste brahmanas, caste brahmanas, and on the one hand, and on the other, he was blasphemed by the Muslims themselves because he was converted to Hinduism according to their view. Because Muslims were rulers in the country, they forbade him to chant the holy name. But he said that first he wanted to explain that this is the same Lord we glorify, and Krishna attracted my heart, and I cannot give him up even for a moment. It's not in my power to give him up. But they insisted that otherwise he'd be punished. And he said, you can cut my body to thousands of pieces, and every piece of my body will chant the holy name. So they were so furious that they punished him with beating with canes on 22 marketplaces. 22 marketplaces. No one could survive such a punishment beyond 2 marketplaces. So they were convinced that he'll be killed also. So they took him to these marketplaces and they beat him severely, mercilessly. And can you imagine how humiliating it is this? That you are dragged before people that they know you and they publicly punish you in front of everyone and beat you severely. This is extremely humiliating. We should try to get into the mood of what we are studying. Not that just we study, that we tick it, I read this. But we should try to get into the mood. What does it mean? How would I feel in maybe much less severe circumstances? If I would be just reprimanded verbally in front of the people I know, and they know me. It's very hard to take. What to speak of such severe punishment? But Haridas Thakur just prayed for his torturers. He just prayed for them. Please, Lord, forgive them. They don't know what they do, like Jesus prayed on the cross. It's the same principle. They don't do anything wrong, he prayed. Please show them your mercy, he prayed. And they beat him, dragged him from one marketplace to another marketplace. And they became really exhausted by this beating. On marketplace by marketplace, they beat him severely and beat him, but he didn't die. And then they became really afraid, because if Haridas doesn't die, we'll be punished by death. Yes, we will die. And Haridas sensed their anxiety and said, oh, is my staying alive harms you? Then no problem, I will die immediately. And so apparently he died, there was no sign of life in his body. So these two torturers, they went to Kazi and said that Haridas died by beating. And they said, according to Muslim tradition, if one is buried, he can go to heaven. So he doesn't deserve to go to heaven because he's a blasphemer of our faith. So he should be thrown into the Ganges like a piece of garbage. So he was thrown into the Ganges. And then he regained his consciousness and came out and went back where he was tortured before severely and chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna. So he was extremely courageous, we can say. So if we are humble, that doesn't mean that we compromise our principles. It's very important. He was extremely humble, but never compromised his principles. And there was an occasion of Mahaprakash Lila, that Lord Chaitanya manifested his supremacy. He revealed that he is a Supreme Lord for 28 hours. And at this time, he called for every devotee to come to him. And he gave them different boons. And then he called for Haridas. And he said to Haridas, "You remember when you were beaten in the 22 marketplaces? I was so furious that I wanted to send my Sudarshan chakra to kill immediately those rascals who were beating you. But you prayed in such a humble state, full of love for them, that I should show them my mercy and compassion, that my Sudarshan chakra didn't want to move from my finger. So I didn't have anything to do other than I lay over your body, so that all this beating I received on my back." And he showed his back to Haridas Thakur, and there were scars all over the Lord's back. And when Haridas Thakur saw this, he lost his consciousness. He couldn't bear this. And then when he regained his consciousness, the Lord wanted him to ask for a boon. And then Haridas asked for a boon. And he said, "In any life I take, may I take the remnants of your devotees, of prasadam. May I become a dog in the house of a devotee, that they will throw me a little bit of their prasad, or even a worm, that I can taste a little prasad." And then he began to cry and said, "Oh, my Lord, please forgive me. I'm so shameless. I asked for such a high boon that I can never deserve." And Lord was completely taken aback. He couldn't tolerate such humbleness of Haridas Thakur. This was one example from Lord Chaitanya's Leela, that one should be very humble. What is to be more humble than a blade of grass? Another example, also from Chaitanya Leela. There are many examples, so I have to choose which example, because we don't have time to sit here for hours. At least I don't have time, because I have to leave to Paris. One is Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. I took this example because they're our acharyas also. We are considered as Rupanugas. So, when they first met Lord Chaitanya in Ramuna, they approached him also in utter humility. They were the most powerful personality in the state of Bengal, because they were ministers, in the main ministers, the prime ministers of the government of Hussain Shah, who was the king of Bengal. So they were fabulously rich, and nevertheless they were extremely humble. They came to Lord Chaitanya and fell flat in front of him and begged him for mercy. They said, we are more fallen than Jagai and Madai. You saved Jagai and Madai, but they didn't commit such a big thing. Your mercy to Jagai and Madai is not such a big thing, because first they were born and living in a holy place of Navadvip Dham. Second, they were born in a Brahmana family, and they never served low-class people, because Brahmana should never serve those low-class people. But they were just addicted to sinful activities, and this is not such a big thing. But we served the most degraded personalities, to meat eaters. So we are unlimitedly degraded ourselves also. We are in the category of these meat eaters, of those who are against cows and brahmanas. So you are known as Patita Pavana, of one who delivers the most fallen. So you won't find anyone most fallen than we are. So please save us. But our asking to save us is like a dwarf who wants to catch the moon. Dwarf is very small, but if he wants to catch the moon, how can he catch the moon? Not possible. So Lord's heart was also very pained by their humility. Actually, one of the Lord's prominent business is to make us humble. But we should recognize this, because if we don't take this as a Lord mercy, because we will be faced with so many difficulties in this world, with so many injustices, apparent injustices, that we'll fight, we'll struggle for our existence. But I will tell you something surprisingly. We live in the world of justice. This is not world of injustice. This is world of justice. And spiritual world is not a world of justice. It's a spiritual world is not a world of justice. It's a world of mercy. It's a world of mercy, of love. And mercy doesn't mean justice. Justice means eye for eye, tooth for tooth, life for life. Yes. So, if you want to live in such a world, in the world of justice, we will have the opportunity. We are using this opportunity from time immemorial. But now we are invited into the abode of mercy. But if we will demand justice, we will never enter into the abode of mercy. It's as simple as that. So if we struggle for existence, if we don't live in utter humility, that means that on some level at least, we demand justice, that we demand our existence, the space for our existence. Yes, and this is not more humble than a blade of grass. So we should see what is beneficial and what is not for devotional service, and what kind of mentality we should cultivate in our spiritual life. And one symptom of being humble is to be grateful. One who is not grateful is grateful. He's a great fool. Yeah. And we should be grateful for everything we get, even for punishments, even for injustices, because it's Krishna's mercy. We should take it as Krishna's mercy. Tatenu kampam susamikshamano bunjana vatma kritam vipakam hritvakva burbirvidadannamasti jiveta vimukti pade sadayabhak. Only the one who takes everything as Lord mercy, all injustices, can enter the abode of mercy. Yes. And love. And this we all hanker for from time immemorial. To enter the abode of mercy and love. Unconditional love. Uninterrupted love. Yes. Because if we interrupt our love, even for a moment, we cannot be suprasidati. We cannot be perfectly happy. And we want to be perfectly happy, because it is our constitutional nature to be perfectly happy. Yes. And also in Vrindavan, we may think that in Vrindavan everyone is climbing on Krishna's shoulders, so they are not humble. But actually they are climbing on Krishna's shoulders just for Krishna's pleasure. But in reality they are also utterly humble. And there are many examples of this. Whenever they feel deep separation from Krishna, their utter humility comes on the surface. For example, when Lord Krishna danced in rasa dance, and I said before that Krishna's business is to make us humble. Suddenly the gopis were thinking of them. Every gopi thought, Krishna is dancing just with me. I'm the most fortunate girl in this world. So how can this be pride? It's gratefulness, actually. She's so dear to the Lord. But the Lord saw a seed maybe of pride in them. So he left them immediately. And he left with Srimati Radharani. And then Srimati Radharani started to think like this also. Lord Krishna left all these beautiful girls just for me. And then Lord Krishna asked her, where should we go now? And she said, take me wherever you want. And he said, okay, just climb on my shoulders. And when he said this, he disappeared. And then Srimati Radharani started to lament. Ha nata ramana prishta kvasi kvasi mahabhuja dasyaste kipanayame sakhe darshaniya sanidim. Oh, where are you, my lover? I'm your servant. Please, show again to me. Show me your mercy. Kripanaya me. Darshanami sanidim. Please appear again. So yes, she was utterly humble when she felt this separation from the Lord. And she called him Nata, my master. And she understood that he is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur explains that there are two aspects of relationship with Krishna. One is sambhoga, enjoyment in Krishna's association, and one is vipralamba, in the separation from the Lord. And sambhoga is like pleasing grace of the moon, very soothing and pleasing. And so in this atmosphere of associating directly with Krishna, everyone forgets that Krishna is the Lord. They enjoy his company, and they are so enamored that they cannot remember that he's the Lord. And even Krishna is so enamored that he forgets that he's the Lord himself also. And they have so sweet pastimes among friends, with gopis, with parents, with everyone in Vrindavan. But when there is separation, separation is like scorching rays of a sun. So in this scorching rays, everything is clearly can be seen. In the night, when there is soothing rays of the moon, you cannot see everything. So this lordship of Krishna is hidden. But when there is a scorching rays of the sun, of separation, everything is seen. So everyone understands that he is the Lord in deep separation. And this was also exhibited by Maharaj Nanda when Uddhava came from Mathura to Vrindavan to bring message from Krishna. Maharaj Nanda and Yashoda Mai, they were so desperate because of the separation from Krishna that they didn't even eat. Everything was unswept. So when Uddhava came, one Brahmana prepared sweet rice just for Uddhava, because he knew no one else will eat. So, and they discussed about Krishna. In the beginning, Maharaj Nanda couldn't even ask about Krishna directly because he was afraid that then he won't be able to speak anymore. And then he wanted to send the message that, yes, please send message to my child that we are here, his servants, waiting for him. So he understood that he's Krishna's servant. Yes, but Mother Yashoda was so completely devastated that he couldn't say any welcome to Uddhava. She didn't say a word. From the time Krishna left Vrindavan, she just cried all the time. And she said, I don't want to see anything but my son's face. And so only tears and milk were flowing from her all the time. Milk from her breasts and tears from her eyes all the time. Yes. So, from these examples of great personalities, we can see that Krishna will mercifully teach us how to become humble. Because only by this complete humility we can enter in his association. And we can see that Krishna himself is also extremely humble. No one can be as humble as Krishna. For example, when Maharaj Yudhishthira performed Rajasuya sacrifice, there were different tasks for different people. For example, Duryodhana, who also helped Maharaj Yudhishthira at this time, he was, what was his duty? Do you remember?
Receiving the guests?
Yes, receiving guests and
Giving charity?
in giving in charity. Yes, he was a very charitable person. He was giving in charity. Yes. And everyone has different duties. And what was Krishna's duty? He was washing the feet of every guest. Because everyone was kshatriya, couldn't humiliate himself so low to wash the feet of other people. But Krishna happily accepted this role. And he accepted the role of Parthasarathi, of the chariot driver of Arjuna. And we should know, we may not think that this is very humble position, but we can take notice. Jai Shri, what is Govinda Madhava, Radha Govinda Madhava ki Jai, Shri Gauranitai ki Jai, Shri Krishna Balaram ki Jai. Where we stayed? I wanted to explain.
Krishna washing the
Oh yes, Krishna was a chariot driver of Arjuna, and we may not think that this is something really humble to do, but if we see how Shalya was completely against that he would become a chariot driver of Karna, because at the end of this battle on Kurukshetra, all these great warrior commanders were killed on the side of Duryodhana, Dronacharya and Bhishma and others. And so they concluded that only Karna can kill Arjuna and the Pandavas, but he needs the best chariot driver possible. And they wanted to ask Shalya, because he was the only one so skilled that he could drive the chariot of Karna. But he didn't want to do it. Because he was a kshatriya, he was a warrior, not a sutta. Karna was a sutta by caste. Not him, he was a kshatriya by caste. So, I won't do it. And they begged him in different ways and glorified him so much. Because it was not just driving, because the fighter, like Arjuna, he cannot speak all the time, go here, go there. So he was kicking the driver here and there. You should go here and there. So Arjuna also kicked Krishna. Go here, go there. And not that the driver just drove the chariot. He also had to take care of the horses. Because those kshatriyas, fighters, they went after the battle, when the day ended, to the camp, and they drank and had fun. But servants, they had to take care of the horses like chariot drivers. So Krishna took care of horses, gave them to eat, cleaned them, gave them to drink, and everything like this. So this was his duty. So we should know that Krishna is most humble. He is the Supreme Lord, but he happily performs service to his devotees. And even to atheists, he sent them food every day. And he doesn't demand anything in return. Yes, and he gives them air, gives them money, everything. Supports them in every way. Yes. So how humble should we become? Completely humble. We cannot be humble enough, even if we try so hard. So, please understand that my whole life depends on this quality of humbleness. Hare Krishna. And as it is explained by Lord Chaitanya, only in this utter humility it's possible kirtanya sada hari, that we can always be connected with Krishna. Hare Krishna. Is there any question or comment? Yes, please.
You were speaking about that it's not humility to break our principles.
Yes.
Can you give some examples, like giving examples?
Breaking principles?
Yeah, that it's not humility.
For example, when Haridas Thakur was, they demanded from him to stop chanting. If he would stop chanting, because this is the king's order, he could have this argument. This is the king, and king is a representative of God. So I should submit and stop chanting the holy name. But he knows that Krishna doesn't want us to stop chanting the holy name. So he knew that this is just demoniac nature of this king, of this ruler. So he didn't compromise his principles, and he didn't want to stop chanting of the holy names. So even when there is, for example, in recent times, we can say, there was this corona craziness. Yes. Karuna. Yeah. Everything can be karuna. So there were authorities who wanted to prevent Harinam Sankirtan during this time, and they were even very severely chastised. They severely chastised devotees who performed Harinam Sankirtan in these times. So, sincere devotees don't compromise this principle, Kirtaniyah Sada Hari. We should always glorify the Lord, and this is our Sanatan Dharma. And especially, it's special Yuga Dharma for this age. So, these devotees, I know one personally, he was labeled as a demon because he performed Harinam Sankirtan. Hare Krishna. But if he would think, yes, I'm ordered by devotees and that I should stop performing Harinam Sankirtan, so I should be humble enough and stop, this would be breaking the principles. So I appreciate and I admire his courage that he doesn't criticize either. And this is very important, that we don't criticize. Even Haridas Thakur was praying for his murderers, actually. So we should pray for everyone who does some injustice to us. Not take any grudge to anyone, but be grateful that we can be reprimanded and punished even for the Lord's sake. Then this is the highest possible mercy we can receive. Yes. Then this is really a sign of Lord's mercy. So if we are punished because of serving the Lord, we cannot be more grateful. This is a very special mercy. Yes. So never take grudge on anyone. Be always grateful for everything that happens to you. But never compromise the principles of devotional service. Is this okay? Hare Krishna. Anything else? Thank you very much for your attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Please accept my humble